Okay, good morning. This is day 35 of making these little videos about a day in the life of me as a schizophrenic. You can skip this intro if you've seen it already. I'm gonna do like a 2-minute intro. Day in the life of me as a schizophrenic and thoughts in my life. And I start off with an intro. I make these videos to improve camera presence in whatever endeavor I do going forward. In my intro, I say that if I was going to describe myself to others, I'd describe myself as an itty bitty writer who experiences schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the experience can be chalked up to coming into contact with systems and operations that use highly advanced or modern technology. Uh, I am just a one-time semi-activist. I am now a brain-damaged author of a book that I am writing. I have put it online. It is not a published book at this point, but I have put it on Medium, and I put it in chapters forms on Medium. And that book describes psychological operations, technology in society, and political surveillance, and also shares some of my thought processes that could have gotten me targeted. And this targeting has resulted in me functioning with a schizophrenic function on my brain. And a lot of people use targeted individuals when they talk about these things. I like to use schizophrenia because I think schizophrenia should be examined, and I don't think targeted individual talks about everything that schizophrenia encompasses. I'm actually the recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO calls neurostrike weaponry, and what the Indian chief of intelligence, what NATO calls cognitive war, and what the Indian chief of intelligence calls neurostrike weaponry. And this neurostrike weaponry is a terminology I think used by China to describe their weapons, and I believe America has these weapons. And the chief of Indian intelligence also says that common people are typically are very common targets of these types of weapons in China. So, if China and America are working together or working separately, but they have commonalities, they're maybe doing the same thing here to me, and that's what I think. It is really just me coming into contact with the section of the underworld of reality, or classified section of reality. Okay, so here we go. Today I was going to talk about the residue of mistreatment. And I was remembering when I was formerly tortured by these weapon systems that I experienced in the schizophrenic reality, that I was really just terrible. Not terrible, but I mean, I was in a terrible way. I, I wanted to lash out. I just, I was very angry and whatever, and I wasn't that angry, but I was to the point where I was not my normal self. I was not functioning in a calm, peaceful manner, and I did not have peace. And I was just thinking that, in our world today, so much has gone on, and the residue of violence and mistreatment results in a fractured, incohesive world that we live in. And I was just thinking, just take one thing like slavery, just look at what happened in the Civil War. You just take a look at the violence to uphold slavery and the fear that they had to put on the people, and the terrible mistreatment of people to create slavery. And that has residual effects on us today in the way we are socially incohesive today as a society. And then you see it's like the Civil War, and you see like because they couldn't do away with slavery without violence and political and war, there's still residual effect in the Southern mindset of here today, and they still hold on to the flag of you know Dixie flag and all that, and they hold on to their pride in the Southern system or whatever. I don't know, and it's like It's a residual effect of the violence that it took to rid the country of slavery, and we're still incohesive as a society because of the residual effect of these things. And so I was just commenting to myself, like it so shows you how delicate we are as a society and as human beings. It just takes a few people to go around mistreating people, and then you have terrible things that can happen in society because of mistreatment. So, that adage that is like kindness really matters and spread kindness. It's really a thing, like right now we're debased, and that gets me into this little notion of like this emanates out of a superiority complex, this mistreatment of people from religion, from kings, from aristocracy, and it's all comes out of this superiority complex, or people egoic superiority complexes where people think like, oh, I'm better because I did such and such, I accomplished such and such, or I'm better because I am removed from all wants and desires, or I'm a spiritual person, or and it's like people think like, everyone just they have their ideas that they're better than other people or whatever. And I don't know, you know, even I have to admit that like when I was being tortured, I was like, I'm better than the fucking people torturing me. And I still go back to that and be like, is it just like a thought that props into your head? Like, these people are torturing me. I know I wouldn't do that to somebody else. So in some respects, I'm better. And I still wrestle with that one because it's like, I don't, you know, uh, but I realize people come to their behaviors from all sort of directions. So I have to nip that in the bud a little bit. All right, the other day, the voices, speaking of voices and torturing and everything, and the other day, the voices were saying stuff to me as I was going to sleep. I was scared of what was going on the hillside next to me, and I didn't want to fall asleep, but I just couldn't stay up anymore. So I fell asleep, and as I was falling asleep, the voices started saying "Skunk Works, Skunk Works." And so I had heard of Skunk Works before, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I had heard of Skunk Works used for in particular for like assassination programs. And so I looked it up. And Skunk Works is actually a term that was developed by Lockheed Martin and a group of scientists and engineers in Lockheed Martin that would do secret projects that were based in innovation, like they had a little minimal oversight, and they were all about creating like innovation in society and in technology for aircraft and stuff like that. So I didn't know why they were saying the Skunk Works to me. uh I don't know if it's like the UFO programs that's supposed to be like it's based on this Skunk Works or whatever. What's is the Skunk Works the laser in the sky shooting down for fires? Because I was worried about the fires when they said Skunk Works. I don't know if it's Skunk Works refers to the schizophrenia program, like it's all a Skunk Works program or something, or you know, uh, I don't know, but they just wanted me to talk about Skunk Works, or they wanted me to say something about Skunk Works. So there you go. You can Google Skunk Works, and AI will tell you all about it. Uh, Authentic Connections Group. Okay. In my book on Never Enough, the book about the high achievement culture and not being enough, and uh, the author was talking about authentic connections groups that these ladies created, the mothers of their childs and stuff. And it was a group. It was a kind of like not a movement, but like a little events that would go on around the country where these women would get together and they would create authentic connections. And they're really interested in these things because, as the author was saying, that we're losing connections with each other because a lot of times people have like a weird agendas when they when they are connected to you, or they want you to produce or something, or so this was just like an authentic connection, like just like being connected to somebody for the person they are. And she talked about how the fact that, like, it was interesting. She was talking about like two people looking up a hill if they're going to go climb a hill together. When you're doing it by yourself, there's like some scientific study they did, and they noticed that, like, when you were by yourself, it looked a lot higher that you had to travel. It looked like a lot longer distance to you at the bottom. But when you were standing with a second person, it looks a lot shorter distance to you. Or I don't know, a lot, but it looks shorter distance to you. And this is like a psychological effect of being with somebody. So, like, it's very interesting how just that scientific study that they've done on that. Okay, speaking of being together, in our society, we discuss uh, the Earth complying with our needs as people. Like right now, global warming is happening, and we're like, how do we get the Earth to comply with our system of money? And so I don't know if if the Earth is really going to comply with us, and maybe that's obviously that could be kind of stupid of us. Maybe we're coming to this realization that, like, the Earth is going to destroy our money system. So maybe we need to start imagining a different system going forward, because the money system, I mean, you just look at like the way the disasters are destroying $270 billion worth of material wealth and economics, and it's happening all over the world. The billions of dollars are getting spent on disasters, and how much can the money system uphold this thing? And maybe we need to be in compliance with Earth, and Earth doesn't need to comply with civilization. Maybe civilization needs to start thinking, like, how does civilization comply with Earth? And obviously we're not going to be here forever. If we are here forever, we'll die sooner than later. And if we want to, how do we get Earth to comply with? How do we get us to comply with Earth? And then how do we use Earth to develop technology to escape to a new world in the future? And so that's something that we have to think about as people. And maybe that's why they were saying Skunk Works to me. Maybe that's what the Skunk Works is all about, but I don't know. In Noah Harari's book, he talks about pursuit of happiness, or the right to happiness. So in America, we have a idea that, like, says we have the right to pursue our happiness, and that you shouldn't interfere with other people's right to pursue happiness. And Harari writes that this is starting to take on the form of like a right to happiness. And so I was thinking about that, and I write that in my book, that we should all be concerned with our own happiness and with other people's happiness. So we should want to have a happy society. So it's okay to think about other people's happiness. Now I know happiness is a kind of a journey for people, but like, if other people are concerned with everyone else's happiness, like, you got to keep people happy, keep yourself happy. And uh it's some of it is spiritual, some of it is social. And so it's okay to acknowledge that you matter to other people's happiness, and the way you treat other people matters to their happiness. And so that is right. So but you also have to acknowledge that sometimes people have to come to their own ability to create happiness for themselves. Like, so it's a combination of things. And it's okay to me to think that we should focus on collective happiness, individual happiness, our own personal journey. And so, okay. uh so you know taking people's rights away is not allowing them to pursue happiness. So, you know all right, I gotta stop here because it's about 15 minutes. So thank you for watching and goodbye.